Walking Dead just ended, but we're just getting started. It's Walking Dead Live on post-show recaps.
Woo!
And now, here are the two guys who got their Oscar party started with peach schnapps and moonshine. I'm Rob Cesternino. Here's my co-host, Josh Wigler. How you doing, Josh?
I'm wasted. I am drunk.
Yes.
I am
Yes. This is the real Oscar party. We're talking, we are all Daryl and all Beth all the time. Best supporting actor and best supporting actress on Walking Dead for tonight.
Maybe nominated. I don't know about winners, but definitely nominees.
Yes, definitely the best two actors tonight on The Walking Dead. So we're going to cover everything. We're live right after the episode. It's Sunday night. Oscars are happening. Walking Dead is happening. But you guys are here live, so big props to you guys who are joining us here live. You guys are dedicated to post-show recaps and Walking Dead, and we really appreciate that. So chat room is going here on postshowrecaps.com. We've got our Twitter open also. PS Recaps is the handle for getting your tweets into the show and letting us know what you have to say. And then also our YouTube channel is going to at postshowrecaps.com/YouTube. And we're going to take your questions as well there in this interactive Walking Dead conversation talking about Season 4, Episode number 12. Still.
Still.
So still. So it was very still. What does that title refer to?
Like distillery, distilled.
Yeah, is that what that is?
I was thinking that's where I was going. Stay very still when you're in the trunk of a car with Daryl Dixon, which I don't know how you do, but hands to yourself. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Josh,
I'm not wild. I got to be honest. I'm not wild about the titles for this season. You know, yeah. I'm not wild about the one-word title. I'd like a little more meat on that bone.
Yeah, I like some multiple words. They're throwing a lot of one-word titles at us this season.
Yeah. Shake it up a little.
Shake it up a little bit, and more one-word titles to come. But here we go. So let's talk about it. Daryl and Beth, and believe it or not, we're halfway through this mini Walking Dead run here.
Yeah, it's kind of flying by. You know, I would imagine that there's going to be some people who are, perhaps yourself as well, Rob, who are not going to be thrilled about the pace of tonight and the fact that this is the halfway mark of this second half of the season. But I'm not surprised. I think that this was the direction that they were really teasing was we're back on the road. Our characters are separate, so we're going to get these kind of standalone, razor-focused episodes. So if nothing else, I think it's living up to expectations.
Yeah, I hear you. I know that's what we got into, but I have to say I did feel like tonight's episode could have been cut with another story. I felt like there wasn't so much meat there for Daryl and Beth that we couldn't have seen, Maggie and Sasha and Bob tonight also.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that there was room for at least one more story. I think the Maggie story would have made sense. You kind of have the Green connection there. I think that would have been really nice. And it does make you wonder how they're going to get all of these stories to intersect again by the end of the season when there's only 4 episodes left. But, they're going at their pace. We got to go along with them. So, with that being the case, I'm on for the ride.
I mean, Josh, even when Lost used to do this, where you have 1 week where you have like, oh, here's Jack and Sawyer and whatever, here's their story. Then and the opposite week you'd have the other people. Like, I mean, we're gonna be 3 weeks now since we've seen the Sasha and Bob and Tyrese and Carol. Because last week's episode was it was Glenn, and then we had Rick and Carl and Michonne.
Right.
And now it's been, we only have 8 episodes here. So now we're going to have it's 3 weeks in between, half the people on the show.
Right. I have to say that I am a little surprised that they haven't combined more of these groups already. That was obviously it was what they were setting up by separating everybody in the first place. But you're right. It's on Lost, you would have at least an A and B story. It wouldn't really just be an A story, except for the very rare exception here and there. Desmond episodes come to mind. So it is a little surprising. Like I said, I would have liked some Maggie action in this one. It would have been nice, especially because we've only gotten her for 10 minutes this season so far, and we've only gotten 10 minutes of Tyrese. So yeah, they really do need to start bringing these guys into the fold a little better, I think.
And did you feel like that what happened in this episode merited, 1/8 of this half season?
Maybe not. I like the episode. It's not my favorite of the season. and it gets a lot of style points for the ending. I love that ending. You and I just talked offline about that. But it's a lot for a 40-minute runtime, or not a lot for a 40-minute runtime, I should say.
Okay, so let's talk through it, and then we'll take your questions here along the way. Um, or any other, actually, before we jump into the beat by beat, anything big picture that you want to talk about?
Um, well, I think that this episode, I don't know if this reinforces the Daryl Beth romance, or if that took a few steps back this week.
I feel like
Um,
we took steps forward on the Daryl Beth showmance.
I think it was like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, because Daryl was kind of a dick. But I don't know. We'll dig into it. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll dig into it.
Yeah.
And so we also, I guess, the big reveal was what Daryl did before this all happened.
Right. And I can't remember if that hadn't been revealed on the show before. I mean, Daryl isn't a character that exists in the comics. He's purely for the show. So there's not a lot of that kind of background that I can draw from. But, the Dixon brothers were the stars of a Walking Dead video game that kind of explores their past a little bit. And I know that at the very least Norman Reedus has talked in interviews about what Daryl did before the apocalypse. But this might have been the first time on the show where they really go into detail that Daryl was really kind of just, scumming around with his brother, job to job, bad guy stuff all the time. So yeah, no, that was interesting to kind of get that. And he's never left the state of Georgia. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
I was surprised by that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I think it came up on the season premiere episode from the season 4 episode 1, and I'm pretty sure it was Beth's boyfriend who died, who was playing like 20 questions with Daryl
Right.
about if I get it right, what you were before this all happened, would you tell me? And he was like making some like kind of crazy guesses. So
Right.
it was teased before. What did Daryl do?
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting thing when you look at all these characters who sometimes you forget that they're all very new to each other's lives as well. Not everybody in this group knew each other before the zombie apocalypse started. Really, just Rick and Carl at this point. So there's probably a lot of people wondering, well, what did Michonne do? Was she a samurai teacher at some high school swordsman class or whatever? So I think that it's fun to watch the characters ask those questions and think about those questions, and the answers are a little probably underwhelming in the world of The Walking Dead, and I think that's fun. I think that's cool.
Well, it kind of goes back to the whole Lost thing again, where it's like, the mysteries are always more interesting before you know what the answers are.
Yeah.
And then now that we know that Daryl was just pretty much exactly what you would have expected Daryl was before this
Right.
all happened, is he a more interesting character or is he a less interesting character?
I think that it doesn't move the needle either way for me. Daryl is about what I expected Daryl to be. I think I would have, raised an eyebrow if it turned out that he was like secretly a cop or like some sort of like Johnny Utah style undercover FBI agent or something like that. That would be bad. But just him kind of being a low-level criminal, doing bad stuff with his brother sounds about right. So it doesn't really change my opinion at all.
I think what you could take from it is that, he's actually, in some ways, this has given his life some sort of a meaning. That he was sort of just this aimless drifter before then, he actually kind of has a purpose.
Yeah, and as Beth says, he's very likely to be the last man standing when all is said and done, and that seems like he didn't, refute that necessarily, and he probably doesn't take any comfort in it either. So I don't know. I do love Daryl Dixon, and I had missed that character because he again had only been on this season for 10 minutes so far. 40 minutes of just Daryl and Beth was a lot, but I'm glad that we got to spend some more time with him for sure.
Yeah, a pouty Daryl tonight.
Pouty Daryl. Pouty Daryl. I don't want to drink with Daryl. That's something that I learned tonight. I don't want to get drunk with Daryl. He pees on your furniture. He jerks you around by the arm. He makes you shoot things with bows and arrows. I guess that part would be kind of cool. But yeah, no, Grumpy Daryl. I don't know.
Yeah, it also felt like thematically there was a lot of almost like class warfare. It felt like between Daryl and Beth. Did you pick up on that also, or am I imagining
No,
things?
no, you're not imagining things. I think that's definitely true. I don't think that Herschel was like this super rich Southern, politician or anything like that. I think they led a comfortable life. They had that farm. It's a very nice farm, lots of land, happy family, I think. Other than Herschel's alcoholism period was probably pretty dark. But things seemed like for Beth, she lived a pretty charmed life, and Daryl did not. So I think that was definitely a very intentional contrast to kind of make for the show.
Yeah. Did you find it sort of out of nowhere that Beth decided that she needed to start drinking tonight? And did you feel like that Beth would have been better served if she was in the group with Bob?
Yeah, I saw someone say that. Yeah, I mean, if she'd been in the group with Bob and she dropped that bomb, Bob would be like, "Oh, hey, listen, I already got us covered. We've got that. That's on lock." Yeah, it did come a little out of nowhere. I guess the Green family has their history with the drink,
Hmm.
so I can see why she would be curious about exploring her father's greatest weakness in light of losing her father. I think that there's something there. Um, but it was an interesting choice on the writer's part to devote an entire episode to finding booze.
Sure.
You
Um,
know,
but
you dropped the cure last week, and now we're going off in search of another cure. So
yeah,
there you go.
that's right. Dr.
Trade one
Feelgood.
cure for another. Yeah.
Ryan McMurray wants to know: would Lizzie spill the rice out at her camp with Tyrese if he told her he was sending her out alone with the zombies?
Oh
Um,
wow.
well, I don't know, but we don't even know about Lizzie and Tyrese this week. This is all Carl and Beth talk now.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say that I got some Survivor Kagayan vibes this week. It was the beauty tribe on Survivor started fire with basically nothing, and Beth was able to do the same thing here. You can't underestimate a pretty girl.
Okay. All right, so let's start off this episode. So the opening scene, which was very exciting, but I'm not sure I actually understood what happened here.
Okay.
So Daryl and Beth come out of the woods and they get into the trunk of a car
Yeah.
and close the trunk of the car. Now,
Yeah.
what was there like a herd of zombies coming through?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like, and the scene kind of jumps around through time. So they get there in the middle of the night, and a night passes. So there's all these little jump cuts in there. Yeah, they were waiting out the literal and figurative storm.
How long did they have to stay in the trunk for?
I would give it probably like 8 hours. Would be
8 hours.
would be
Nobody
my
had to
guess.
pee during
They
this
mu-
8 hours.
Listen, maybe they had to pee and they just didn't show it. If they had to pee, I don't think Daryl would have had much trouble just doing it right there. I
I
think
looked
we
when they
got
got out of the
evidence.
car. I'm sorry, Beth did not have a pee stain on her jeans. She did
Well,
not. She did not pee her pants in the trunk of the car.
well, I think Beth is a little more prim and proper. I think it speaks once again to the class warfare. We see later in the episode that Daryl has no problem peeing on the floor of a house right in front of her. So I wouldn't put it past him, Rob. I think that it's possible that he was peeing in the trunk.
Okay, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if
Probably,
they go back to that later on in the episode
it's
or
probably
down the line.
yeah, probably
So
farting up in there too. Uh,
probably.
no snake
Um,
farts though. That would have been later.
yeah. So then they catch this big snake.
Uh-huh.
Seems like there's a lot of meat on that snake, right?
Yeah, listen. I would have eaten that snake. Probably doesn't have to be an apocalypse. That looked kind of good.
It looked kind of good. And Daryl
Yeah.
was just like, "Rah, rah, rah,"
Yeah.
that's a lot of meat on a snake like that.
It's a lot of meat on a snake like that. That was pretty impressive.
That was
Yeah.
impressive. But Beth was just off doing her own thing, and she doesn't want to stay at Daryl's suck ass camp. Is that necessary?
No, that was hurtful. I think that Daryl probably takes a decent amount of pride in his ability to set up shop in the woods and make it, survivable and as comfortable as possible. And I think that was it was rude. It was definitely rude.
Yeah. So but Daryl's got it all figured out. He's got like the tripwire hubcap system going on.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. That Daryl Dixon, he's one to watch.
Yeah. And so Beth, this is when we first hear that Beth says, "Hey, I've never had a drink before. I need to go find booze.
I get it. I really do. This is a stressful situation, and I would not mind taking like a day off from the apocalypse to get bombed. I think that is something that is one of the first things on this show in a long time that I could really relate to. Other than the pudding, I would have eaten a lot of pudding.
What if you had a choice between pudding and pepper and peach schnapps? Where would you go?
I mean, if it's only peach schnapps, then I go pudding.
Okay.
If it was, I don't know. If it was
Moonshine?
like I would drink some moonshine. I don't know if I would do. I don't know if I would do moonshine over pudding. Pudding is really good.
It is really good.
Even when it's bad, it's good.
That's right. All right. So then we go to the golf course, and they go into there, and there's sort of like some zombies like following them,
Right.
about 50, 100 feet behind them, but we're not going to worry about them.
Yeah.
And so what was going on inside the place where the golf course was?
I'm starting to wonder about that because do you think that any of this? Because it's not just zombie carnage. There are bodies that have been like cut in half and placed on mannequins, right? That's what we saw something like that inside of here, right? The one that said "rich bitch" on her chest. Yeah. Rich bitch was half zombie and half mannequin. So that's not something that a zombie can do. That's got to be the act of a person.
A zombikin?
A zombikin. We're seeing a little bit of this season. The governor encountered some weird, suspicious, acts of violence in that cabin. We saw a little bit of that with Michonne and Carl last week. Is there any chance that this stuff is connected, or is it all just more paint on the wall of this is an ugly world we're living in?
I don't know. What I thought happened there was it was like there was the country club, and then it was like, the whole thing started going down, and all of the rich people were like, oh, let's go to the club. I bet we'll be safe there. We'll have a drink. We'll wait out this whole thing. And I think that's what happened. Because
and so they turned on each other.
I don't know. The people that hang themselves, okay, I love when we see the zombie, the hanging zombies, and Daryl didn't feel the need to put anybody out of their misery this time around. He was a kinder, gentler person earlier in the show's run.
Yeah, but he's been there, done that.
I mean, did those three people say, okay, let's all hang ourselves at the same time, count of 3, 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, and you got to imagine that they were probably the last people there to die, because somebody would have noticed that they had turned into zombies and would have done something about it. But yeah, you would probably assume that those guys went out in one shot.
And they all didn't realize that all the other people that died did turn into zombies.
I don't know, Rob. I don't know what to tell you. You're pulling threads here, and I'm scared to go down that path.
All right.
I gotta be honest.
But anyway, so we're in the country club. And everything is, there's lots of like money and like treasure here, and it looks like Daryl is like picking up a lot of the money, right?
Yeah, it's like the banana stand. There's always money in the country club. Yeah, I guess he's like investing in the possibility. Maybe he's met Eugene already and knows Eugene has a cure. Maybe he knows that maybe this world is going to go back to normal. I should steal this money while I have a chance.
Yep. Paul Christian in the chat room wants to know, why was Daryl gathering money and jewelry in the country club?
Listen, money's always good.
Is it?
It's not always good, but it's never bad to have.
Well, here's what I'm confused about. If Daryl is...
Also toilet paper, there's a functional reason to have the money along.
I guess so. I mean, is that what we're going with? Because if Daryl was taking the money, and it meant something to him in the country club, why is he lighting it on fire to start the house fire at the end of the episode?
Because it's badass. It's badass to light money on fire and burn things with it.
So
I've seen that in movies before.
Did something happen in this episode where he was fighting like sort of this class warfare of, hey, whether it's I'm a villain or I'm a crook, I'm a criminal. I need to steal money from people. I hate rich people. And then by the end of the episode, he let that go. Is that what you feel like they were going for?
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said for that. I think that the episode pretty clearly charts Daryl from being angry Daryl again, like he's kind of snapped back into that all business, all survival, no love, no friendship, no tenderness mode. That he, that was the space he occupied in season one. And then by the end of the episode, Beth kind of helps him through to be the Daryl that we've grown to love. And I think that the money definitely helps to represent that journey for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a question from reality TV fan who wants to know: does Lizzie Hartner? It's Rob. I don't know that somebody questions about Lizzie. That Lizzie's not in this episode. We don't know what Lizzie is doing.
Well, I feel their pain.
Lizzie hearts Carol.
I want to see more Lizzie, so I feel your pain out there, guys. I wish we'd seen some Lizzie tonight.
2 more weeks, and we'll get back to Lizzie and Tyrese.
You don't think next week?
I didn't see him in the preview.
I guess that's probably right.
Yeah, in the preview I saw Sasha and Bob and Daryl and Beth, and I didn't see anybody from the Tyrese, Carol, Lizzie storyline.
So they're gonna sit out 3 episodes in a row?
I don't know. That's the problem. We need maybe could we just have that storyline as webisodes?
That would be good. I would watch that.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'd be okay with that.
I guess the other thing too, though, is that they are the furthest along. Sorry to sidebar about the Lizzie thing, but it's been brought up. But they, they're further along on the road towards this place, Terminus, this place that promises if you arrive, you survive. So if we see them again in the next episode, they're probably just already going to be there, and the writers don't want to get there so quickly. So I guess I understand why they're holding them off. But if the next time we see them, they aren't pretty far along on that storyline, that's going to be very frustrating for me. I'm going to have a hard time with that.
So when they're going through everything in the country club, something very interesting that we find, Daryl finds, or I'm sorry, was it Daryl or Beth? Who found the Washington, D.C. spoon?
That's Beth.
Okay. And now the significance to me is that last week was the first time that we had Washington, D.C. mentioned in the show, and it seems odd to have a long, lingering shot of the Washington, D.C. spoon.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that means that that's where we're going. That would be great. It certainly seems that's where Eugene needs to go, and so that's where Abraham wants to lead those people. That storyline gets no development in this episode unless you take Beth finding the Washington, D.C. spoon as a little bit of an Easter egg of we aren't dealing with this story this week, but we haven't forgotten about it either. It's in the future. Hold on to your spoons. We're getting there.
Hold on to your spoons.
Let's hashtag that.
Yeah. Okay. So, what about the clock? Did you find it? Was there any significance to the grandfather clock?
I didn't really pay too much attention to the clock, so not for me.
Yeah. Okay. And then when we get to the pro shop, I thought it was they really gave some significance to Beth goes and puts on a outfit that people wore in the pro shop, and I felt like, we got what they were going for there. That she puts on these nice clothes, and then Daryl has a tantrum and kills all the zombies, and then it gets zombie guts all over Beth's clothes. But I just felt like they were trying to, nail Beth is this elitist person, and Daryl is this lower class person. But I don't. I didn't find that Beth was, and I would have never called Beth elitist before this episode.
I think it might be less that. I think it's innocent versus war torn. Beth has obviously seen her fair share of grim stuff. As Daryl points out later, she tried to kill herself once.
That was a low blow, Daryl.
That was a low. That's what I'm saying, Rob. Is Daryl mean drunk, bad drunk? Don't want to drink with Daryl Dixon. But I think it's more that. I think it's more pointing out the distinction that Daryl is a guy who was made for this world because this is the world he's always lived in a way. And for Beth, she's further along than many probably would have given her credit for before this whole thing started, but she still clings on to a little bit of the past. She talks about how she really thought that the prison was going to be it, and they were all going to grow up, and Herschel was going to get to be a grandfather. So I think that's something that the quotes signify for me, rather than it being so much an elitist thing. It's more she's still innocent and young enough to think that she can kind of put on new clothes and look cute in the zombie apocalypse, and things are going to be okay. And then the blood gets splashed on it, and it's a quick reminder that no, this is the world you live in now.
But I find that there's like they're doing like two things I feel like with Beth, where I feel like we have the storyline from the first episode of season 4 where her boyfriend died and she had like no emotion. She was like whatever, completely cold to it. But then there's also sort of like the naive sort of, oh, everything was going to be happily ever after. And I feel like those two things are sort of opposed to one another.
Yeah, there's a little bit of dissonance there. Can't argue with that. There definitely is a little bit of two brains in Beth there, but I don't
Like,
think
is she cold or is she naive?
No, I think that she can be both though. I don't think that they're mutually exclusive.
Layered Beth, she was wearing layers.
There you go. See, maybe that's what it represents. You know, she's a complicated character.
Yeah.
Complicated gal.
Okay. And then I felt like the rich bitch zombiekin tied into that also.
And so you don't. Am I just going to Looney Tune tinfoil land when I say that maybe these people like are connected? All of these different slayings. You think that this is the golf course thing is a contained incident?
Yeah, I think that you're asking are the person that put like liar whatever.
Right. Is any of that connected?
I mean, I never thought about that before. I don't think so. I mean, I feel like it's a big world and there's a lot of lunatics out there.
So that's the point. It's just like there's nowhere is safe. We're all crazy now.
That's what I think.
Okay.
But I could be way off on this.
Now we'll find out or we won't.
Yeah. Okay. So finally they go and they make it to the bar. Okay?
Yes.
And finally
and all that's left is peach schnapps because no one drinks peach schnapps.
Yeah, and Beth even asked Daryl, "Is it good?" And he says, "No. No, it's not good." And now Daryl...
He was offended.
Yeah.
It's a girly drink for Daryl Dixon. He doesn't do girly drinks.
Yeah. And Daryl is throwing the darts at the people who went to the country club.
Yeah.
But if Daryl harbored these feelings against Herschel's family for being sort of well off or well to do, he certainly never made these feelings public to Herschel.
Well, I don't think that. See, I think that's where you and I go on different roads, because I don't think that he ever really resented them any more than he resented anybody else in the group. But there were moments back on the farm. Daryl was still kind of becoming part of the group back then. He would be off on his own. He wouldn't really be interested in being buddies with all these people. So there is some history there, but I don't think that Daryl ever felt specifically angry towards the Greens. And I think you even see it in this episode when they start talking about Herschel again. He's really bummed that Herschel's gone.
Yeah.
So I think that he connected with them, and I think that it's just a lot of residual bullshit is coming up because he's very upset. All this new family that he built with the prison is gone, and he has to kind of come to grips with the fact that his lot in life has been reduced to what it was before the world turned.
Now I gotta say that I feel like Daryl did not handle the alcohol situation particularly well. Now, it didn't come back to bite him, but I felt like you got Beth, first-time drinker.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a lot of food in the stomach, a little dehydrated. I felt like the peach schnapps would have been a good starting point for her.
I'm completely with you, and I also think options are limited here. You don't know when you're going to run into, your next batch of alcohol. I guess he had his eye on that moonshine, but you keep the peach schnapps. It might come in handy. You might be able to find Bob later and bribe him with it. There's reasons to have the peach schnapps. Yeah. It was a waste. It was a waste.
I felt like that was a little just, you made your point, Daryl. You didn't need to break the peach schnapps on the floor.
I agree completely.
Okay, so now so they leave there, and we go to the house. And now Daryl says that it's like the house that he used to live in, but yet he knows where the moonshine is, and he knows where the bikini ashtray is, and knows what that's about. So is this Daryl's house?
Right. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of thought that it was, but I think that it could be read in either direction. He does say that him and Michonne found this place together a while ago when they were off searching for the governor, I would expect. So he knew about this place. either way, but I got the sense that it was his childhood home. What did you think?
I feel like it was because I
The
mean I feel
boob
like
the boob bucket was pretty distinct. I think he would remember the boob bucket.
yeah, and the fact that I feel like the moonshine that he knew where it was and everything. I feel like that's pretty telling. I feel like.
Yeah, I think that if it had been something that him and Michonne had just found this random house once upon a time and they discovered the moonshine, they would have brought the moonshine back to the prison. But if the moonshine was maybe there was some sort of sentimental, emotional attachment to it because of his family, maybe he would leave it alone. Maybe it'd be something he isn't ready to face.
Plus, I think it's much less cutting that they burn the house down if it's not Daryl's house.
Yeah, if it's just some guy's house, it's a kind of a dick move.
It's just a random house. So well, we got to think this is Daryl's house. So,
Yeah.
Josh, have you ever had moonshine?
I have not had moonshine.
Yeah, I actually have had moonshine.
How is that?
Here's the thing. If you were drinking the moonshine all day long, as Beth and Daryl were doing, I don't think you would be in any condition or being able to walk around, especially considering that they have not eaten anything other than a snake in God knows how long.
Which, granted, was a formidable snake.
It's a formidable snake. But Daryl is the one who's like wasted, and Beth is like can hold her liquor. What's up with that?
I don't know if you've ever met people like that. I certainly have. I've met people who seem like they would be lightweights and can handle it. I guess she's got those green genes. The greens can drink. That's established.
Yeah, but Herschel had his drunk days that were bad.
That's true.
Is Beth just immune from the alcohol?
Or she just hasn't had one of those bad days yet.
Yeah, she drank moonshine all day.
It's a problem in the making. Yeah, no, listen, kudos to her. She's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So, there you go. So they start with an innocent game of Never Have I Ever.
Which is straight out of Lost, season 1, when Kate and Sawyer, they're in the woods. So Lost did it first. It's like The Simpsons did it first, Lost did it first.
Lost did it. And it seems like a good way to get some character development. We get to find out some more about these characters. And the question that really sets Daryl off is Beth says, never have I ever gone to jail.
Right.
And that seems to be a touchy subject for Daryl.
Very touchy subject. Did not like the question.
Yeah.
Upset about the question.
He did not care for it.
Wasn't a fan of the question.
So
what do you think? I mean, he doesn't really answer it. Do you think that he spent some time in jail, right?
You would think so.
That would surprise me. The other stuff about his backstory, him never leaving Georgia is a little sad, but not super surprising. Him bumming around with Merle, not surprising. If Daryl Dixon hasn't been to prison, I'm genuinely surprised.
Yeah, he seemed to take a lot of exception to it, so you got to feel like he was.
Yeah, I think so.
So he gets upset about that. He sort of has a tantrum, and that's when he starts peeing, and then he's going to go outside, and he's going to make her shoot the crossbow, and then Daryl was turned into sort of a bad drunk.
Yeah, he was kind of, he's like merling out. He was kind of being the bad older brother to Beth's like innocent younger sibling. He's jerking her around. He's forcing her he's trying to get her to shoot these arrows at the zombie. So yeah, he's just being a real jerk.
Yeah. Here's a interesting development from the chat room. Nikki Roy is saying that the middle finger thing was actually a fan shout out. If you watch interviews, the middle finger is a Norman Reedus signature move. Are you buying that? Is that the Norman Reedus signature gesture, and they put it into the show?
I could buy that. From my brief encounters with Norman Reedus, I can see that would be a move that he would like to do.
Did Norman Reedus give you the finger, Josh?
He did not give me the finger. He was very pleasant to me. He made a weird joke about crack and whores. That was very strange.
What
but
was
he
the
didn't give
joke?
me the finger.
You can't tease that and not say the joke.
I interviewed him at Comic-Con a few years ago, and he came into the room, and it was the second time I had interviewed him, and he recognized me. And I said, "Hey, man, how's it going on?" He said, "Oh, not bad. I'm here at Comic-Con smoking crack and hitting up whores. It's great." So I was like, oh, I can't really relate to that, but I hope you're having fun.
Yeah.
So that was strange. That's my strange Norman Reedus story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's pretty good. That's
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
He's
He's a
like the
very pleasant guy.
yeah, he's like the Stone Cold Steve Austin of Walking Dead,
He just shows up and chugs a beer and kills zombies.
and he's gonna give somebody a zombie a stunner at some point.
Except with crack, which I think is probably a more powerful weapon than alcohol.
Sure. Or moonshine.
Crack or moonshine? I think crack is probably worse than moonshine.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But
You gotta go with moonshine over crack. Like
yeah,
that's the choice.
is moonshine the alcohol equivalent of crack?
It's gotta be. I don't know. I haven't drank moonshine. You would have to weigh in, but I would suspect that you also haven't smoked crack, so maybe
I haven't
neither of
smoked
us
crack.
can,
Yeah,
can weigh in.
I don't think it's as addictive, the moonshine.
Okay. All right.
Okay. What'd you think of Daryl's story about the talking dog cartoon and the meth head?
I don't remember that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So that's basically the long story that Daryl was talking about the have you ever had a gun pointed at you or I forget how they got into this conversation, but Daryl was talking about how they had this. He was at somebody's house and there was a guy who was high on meth and
Okay.
everybody else was really drunk.
Right.
And like Merle was breaking this guy's balls about a cartoon,
Right.
but it turned out that his son really liked the cartoon and he felt bad because he never hung out with his son. So then he took out a gun and then he pointed the gun at Daryl's head and said he was going to kill him. And then the guy punched Daryl in the stomach and Daryl threw up on the floor. And then everybody started laughing.
Yeah, I think it's another, just another nail in the coffin of this guy had such a crap life before the apocalypse started that the apocalypse is almost a better alternative, or at least how it had been, with Rick and the group. So I think it's just another, building block on that story.
Yeah. Okay. So then, and that's when we get the reveal that he was just, in Daryl's words, just some redneck asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's a sad job description. I bet it doesn't pay very well.
So they were watching a cartoon about a talking dog. Chris Berger wants to know, did Daryl almost die because some tweaker's son loved Family Guy?
Oh, maybe. You could blame that on Brian Griffin.
Yeah.
You can blame a lot on Family Guy, honestly.
I think you can.
Uh-huh.
So this was a very interesting line that I thought Beth said to him. Beth said to Daryl, "You're gonna be the last man standing. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone." Also,
Yeah.
to break into song?
Yeah. So this was the moment where it seemed like she's like I thought she was gonna put a move on him.
Putting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just she's putting some feelers out there. She's trying to see, are you interested? Are you into this? Do you feel the love tonight? And he didn't bite. Maybe
Yeah.
Daryl's not interested.
Wait,
Yeah.
are you questioning Daryl Dixon's sexuality?
Well, Norman Reedus has talked about this in interviews. He's talked about how he never wants Daryl to have any kind of love interest because he doesn't think Daryl would be interested in anything like that.
Whoa.
So take that however you will.
Hey now. So, this is interesting. This is an interesting development.
It's a thing to chew on. Just chew on that.
Will
Listen, they were in that trunk for a while.
Yeah.
I would think that if something was going to go down, that could have been the moment.
Yeah, literally.
Literally.
So, will Daryl be the last man standing? I feel like that was a very interesting line.
If you were looking at this group of people and who is capable of what and the decision making that they can do, their skills and survival and their abilities to kill people and their athleticism and their judgment, all of that stuff, I think that you would probably put Daryl pretty high up on the list of people who will outlast the situation or at least outlast the others.
Yeah.
I would put Michonne up there as well. I think those would probably be the two.
I almost wonder if the fact that she says you're going to be the last man standing makes me feel like maybe Daryl could be dying.
That would be great for my death draft.
Yeah.
That would be big for my death draft. Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe that's a setup that Daryl is going to sacrifice himself at some point.
Yeah. For Beth?
For Beth, for the greater group, who knows? That's
You
a
know,
possibility.
in fairness, other than all of the red shirts that died from the virus, have we had other than and the governor?
Yeah.
I guess so. Herschel died
Yep.
but we've had nobody of note has died in these first 4 episodes here in the second half, right?
Nobody in the second half. No, no one
Yeah.
has, and someone has to.
I think we're due. This is probably has this been the longest stretch in Walking Dead history that we haven't lost a principal character?
No,
Fact checkers.
I think season 2 went a little while. I think that there's some time on season 2 between you get the Sophia death at the end of the first half of season 2. That's a longer stretch, I think. But it could go there. If they don't fix this soon, they could go there.
We're getting there. We're getting there, I think.
We're moving there. So you'd think that this could be setting up Daryl's demise.
Somebody's going down here.
Someone's going down.
Somebody's going down. We'll see.
And you think it could be a bold choice like that and not something safe like, Bob or whoever.
I feel like the longer we go without a death, the more likely it's going to be somebody big.
And are you gonna be satisfied if it's someone of Bob's size and stature on the show, or is that not gonna do it for you? That
I don't
doesn't
know
satisfy your
if
bloodlust?
Bob can satisfy my bloodlust.
Okay. Well, that's always been my argument about it could be Daryl, just because I don't think that there's a character on the show that they could do that to that would have nearly the impact of killing Daryl Dixon. I think even killing Rick, I think that people would get over that faster than they would get over killing Daryl.
People would be very upset.
I think that there's no one on the show that you could kill to get a stronger reaction than killing Daryl.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
So how does the idea come up to burn the house down?
I don't know. I think that, maybe inside of all of us, there's a little bit of the pyromaniac who wants to burn your childhood home down. I'm not saying that I've got that, but maybe in the right situation, I could be persuaded. But, also the idea came from copious amounts of moonshine, and drinking leads to bad choices.
Hey, look, I get it for the show that it was that it was a good shot to end the episode. I get that. I get that.
It's a great shot to end the episode.
Great way to end an episode of Walking Dead. Very fun.
Yeah.
But let's just go into the practical Walking Dead world.
You've got to start. The first place you have to start with, Rob, is was it a good idea to drink? Because the answer is no. So everything that follows from that is a bad choice.
Yeah, it seems like at nighttime to be off your ass on moonshine and now now making the fire, which we know from Glenn's Molotov cocktail that making a fire will attract the zombies. Is it a good idea to be off your ass on moonshine in the woods and making a large fire to attract all of the walkers?
No, it's a terrible idea, but it's a shit ton of fun. It's very fun.
At the very least, could we say, hey, I got an idea. When we wake up in the morning, let's burn the house down. Like, okay, you're on.
They're not there. They're not there. They're in a different place. They're on a different playing field at that moment in time. They're making different choices.
Because after a day of drinking the moonshine, are they up for a hike through the woods tonight? I just feel like at some point we're gonna see that if this was in practical terms,
right?
At some point, Beth, who's never drank before, who's been drinking moonshine all day, is gonna pass out somewhere.
Yeah, she's puking in the woods. Daryl's holding her hair back. Yeah, I think if the episode ended 5 minutes later in real time, 5 minutes after that moment, I think by that point one of them has either said aloud or has at least thought, "Oh, that was a bad call.
That was not a good call.
That was a bad choice."
Okay, well, hopefully that they'll be fine. We think it'll be fine.
I would watch that in a webisode as well.
All right, let's take some questions here because I know you guys have a lot of questions about Daryl and Beth. And here we go. So let's jump in here with Susan's question. Susan has been waiting patiently to get her question up on into the episode. Josh, can you read the question?
I can read this one. Yes. Susan asks, my question, how many people know that you don't have to be bitten to turn? And I think that probably the answer to that is not everybody. Certainly not the people who have been playing this really safe and keeping themselves on lockdown, like the people that the governor ran into. Tara and Lily, they were holed up in their apartment for a while, so they didn't know. But I bet that the people at the country club probably figured that out. I think that came up.
Yeah. Something that I wish that they would address. So when you are getting eaten by, so you're Josh,
Yes.
and now here comes a zombie. Zombie starts eating you, okay?
Yeah.
You're dead. At what point do you get up and become a zombie yourself, and does the zombie stop eating you?
Well, I think that the zombies, their appetite is never satisfied. They are always hungry for more, but their capacity is only so much. So I think that after a while, they're just not going to be able to keep going, or if they do keep going, it's going to go slow. So I'll spring back to life after they've eaten like my legs, and I'll just be crawling around for a while.
And does that zombie know to stop eating you?
Yeah, I think they don't like dead meat. They like fresh meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they get too
It's a
full
taste
and they
difference,
can't finish.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
bad.
That's bad.
You would think that one of the perks of being a zombie is like the bottomless buffet, but I think that's overrated. I don't think that that's necessarily true.
What about the headless zombies that we see sometimes, where it's just a disembodied head?
Right.
Now, if the disembodied head got a hold of you, what would happen then?
It would be biting at you. It would do as much as it could. I mean, it wouldn't be satisfying anything, but it'd be biting at you.
So it would just keep biting, and then it would eat a piece of you, and then that piece would fall out the neck.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's how that works.
I'd be interested to see how that goes.
That sounds like science.
It sounds like science.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going.
We gotta ask Eugene.
Yeah, get your questions in for the show. We'll take questions from the chat room and at PS Recaps on Twitter and of course on our YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and how about let's see, is this the same one from Susan?
I've got one from the chat room. Jordan Basham wants to know, will Beth have a hangover next episode?
I don't believe so. Because,
you don't think so?
No. I don't think she will because I think we'll see the next time we see Beth and I think they're just going to move on past that. Maybe there'll be one line about, oh man, we shouldn't have drank all that moonshine.
I feel like we are owed an episode of Hungover Beth. I feel like we deserve, after this episode, a full episode of Hungover Beth. That's what I sincerely hope, but I don't think it'll be that way. I think that she's going to be okay.
Reality TV fan in the chat room wants to know, Rob, didn't Milton say that the zombies starve after 8 months? Shouldn't the zombies be dying off by now because there are less people to eat? Was that said?
Man, I can't remember if they've mentioned that. That's a good question.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see if we can get to the bottom of that. That might be a question for the Walking Dead wiki.
Right. Yeah, consult that. I've got another one. This is from the YouTube page. This is Michael Rajpal wants to know, do you think the remainder of the season is going to be character-focused while the story regarding a possible sanctuary will take a backseat until the very end of the season? So do you think that this sanctuary that they're building up is season finale material? Do you think that that's something that we're really going to have to sweat out?
Yes. That is going to be Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 16, minute 58, and like, whoa, what's that place?
You think that's where we're going? You think it's going to be held off that far?
Yes.
Wow. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like from the moment that they said it, that's where I felt like it was going. So I feel like I've come to terms with it.
It just kind of feels like that's just Prison 2.0. So I would be disappointed with that. I think that we should get a sanctuary episode in this last half. Not that we will, but I think that would be nice. I think that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can't see the questions when they come up. Can you read the question?
Yes. Let me see. Well, that one is the same.
Okay.
Here's a question from the chat room. Is Paul Christian wants to know, why did they take some parts of the car?
Well, it looked like they were building that trap to sort of like have like that tripwire.
Right, and that was for hunting purposes.
Yeah,
Or was
or
that is it like a zombie alarm?
I felt like it was a zombie alarm, but I would have put the zombie alarm like a little further away than like 5 feet from where they sort of like had that camp.
Right. You would want to like give yourself some time to adjust.
Yeah, I think so.
You want to give yourself some time to get back on your feet.
I think so. Yeah, you want to, if you're dozing off or whatever, I think that would be the way to go. But if I was Daryl and Beth, I would just be out looking for snakes all day.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I kind of want to go eat snakes now. Have you ever eaten snake before? Did you have snake out in the Amazon?
No, I never ate a snake.
Did anyone try? Did Matt ever try to eat snake in the
We
Amazon?
never caught one.
But not for lack of trying.
No, I mean we never saw a snake.
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, and if we did, I would run for it.
Yeah, you would run for the snake or away from the snake.
Run away from the snake.
So you're like Indiana Jones here. You're not a snake fan.
Well, all they did was tell us about how dangerous the snakes were. I said, oh, I'm not gonna mess with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
You've got a game to play here.
yeah, that's right. I'm not gonna, don't need to die from snake bite. Let's see. So
I've got another one here.
go for it.
Chris Berger wants to know, is Carl the villain of the show now? I almost wish the governor was back at this point. Do you miss the governor, first of all?
I do like the governor, but I feel like, I think we were at a runway with the
I,
governor.
I think they did what they could with the governor. I don't think that there was much more to take it. Maybe they could have stretched it out, but if that was the moment that they were bringing the governor to, there isn't a story past that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that was it for the governor, and he had a good run.
So what do you think about Carl? Do you think that Carl is going to cross the line from being a little brat to being a bigger bad of some kind?
No, I don't think Carl's going to be a bad guy.
Okay.
I mean,
I would be more concerned about a favorite topic of discussion, and I'd be more concerned about Lizzie.
yeah, but Lizzie is still only like what 13 years old. Like I'm not worried about Lizzie.
Listen, I've seen movies where little stuffed dolls have been lethal. You know, listen. Don't sleep on the 13-year-old psychopath.
Yeah.
That would be a mistake.
Jordan Basham in the chat wants to know: will the sanctuary be the new Woodbury, a safe haven that our people end up destroying? Everything our people touch turns to poop.
It's true. It's true. It doesn't really work out for our guys pretty much ever. So whether we're talking about destroying this place intentionally, kind of the way that they did with Woodbury, or destroying it by accident, I think that everything these guys touch turns to ash at some point. So those who arrive survive, but not after Rick Grimes gets there, I would say.
Yeah. Whatever's going on at Terminus, I have a feeling that won't be going on there by the time our friends get there.
Yeah, they're gonna stretch out a little bit. They're gonna take their shoes off. Things are gonna be great, and then 5 minutes later, there's gonna be another guy with an eye patch showing up at the gate, and it's not gonna be good.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's just take one or two more questions. Ryan McMurray has a theory. He says, "I think that there is no Terminus anymore. They probably got hit, but the sickness that took over the prison. What do you think? Do you think that Terminus got affected by the virus?"
Oh, that would be so brutal. It's certainly possible. I wouldn't put it past the show to be dangling not just the sanctuary, but also the cure. I wouldn't put it past the show to be dangling these things in front of us as possibilities that end up leading to dead ends. I think that the show has done stuff like that before, maybe not at this scale. So I wouldn't be shocked. I would be depressed by it, and I would be disappointed. I think that whatever this sanctuary is, I feel like it has to exist. Now, I could see it being that sanctuary is a very pretty way of putting it, and it's really not such a great place to be after all. But I hope that wherever it is that these guys are going to, I hope that it's active. I hope that it's a place where people are alive, where we will meet some new characters and meet some new faces. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see until the final minute of the season.
Better question yet. When will we get back to Rosita?
Oh, yeah. Soon, I hope. But Again, was she in the? Did we see her at all in the preview for next
Nope.
week? So it's probably going to be another 2 weeks.
Oh my god. Oh my
I
god. There's
know.
only 4 weeks left.
I know. There's not a lot of Rosita in our future, and that can be a good or bad thing depending on how you want to interpret
Oh boy. Okay. All
it.
right. Well, we'll we got to take it as it comes. That's
Yeah,
what we do here on Walking Dead Live.
that is
All right.
true.
So, all right. So, Josh, great stuff tonight.
Yeah, yeah. This was fun, Rob.
Yes, absolutely. And so we want to make sure that you guys are with us all along the way as we continue our march to Terminus and the Walking Dead season finale just 4 weeks from now. So we've got the podcast going at postshowrecaps.com. Click on the podcasts tab to be able to subscribe to our main feed of all of our shows or just Walking Dead if that's all you're interested in. But you're really missing out on so much more.
Oh, so much stuff. We've got a 24 podcast coming up. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, starting next Monday, and then I believe it's going to line up good. Where once Walking Dead ends, Josh and I are going to segue right into Game of Thrones here on Sunday nights.
Yeah, we're not missing a beat. We're going from the apocalypse to Westeros, and I think that should be a fairly smooth transition.
Yeah, sure.
As smooth as that transition can ever be.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
So we want to hear from you guys in the comments as well. Let us know what you think about the show, and we love hearing your theories too. So let us know where you think it's going. And then we'll be back with more post-show recaps on Monday. That I will be recapping this week's edition of Saturday Night Live with Rich Tackenberg on Monday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
That's
there
fantastic.
You go. There you go. All right. So, Josh, have a great night. Everybody else, same to you. And we will see you next week for more Walking Dead Live on postshowrecaps.com. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
And we're stopping.